Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me. I just want to ask you to please note that I'm not going to really pay attention that much to my messages right now because I'm working off my phone, but I'm going to answer any of your questions that you have afterwards, the moment that I can do that. So if you can just write down your questions, I'll get back to them as soon as I possibly can. So, I just wanted to talk to you about something really important um, today, right? Which is your reticular activation system. It's a really important part of your brain that helps you either succeed or fail. And it's a really crucial bit of kit that people don't realize they have. And that you need to understand that when you embark on a journey of empowerment or self improvement, of success, or whatever the case might be, this kit is going to be there and it's going to be part and parcel of your state of becoming, going into a state of empowerment. Now, the reticular activation system works on feeling differently. Okay. It doesn't really matter who you are or what you do. You can only be blessed when you really feel blessed. So I'm going to segue a little bit into luck, for example. Luck is something that's made. Luck is a total mindset. It's an attitude, and that in itself is incredibly powerful to know. You're not born lucky. So have you ever wondered why some people have the ability to just reach their goals, like they really just always score? This is because they have their reticular activation system tuned in on a certain frequency, and this frequency allows them to filter out the things that don't matter, like loneliness, like anger, like frustration, and various other little beliefs that many other people across the world really struggle with. So how does one activate luck? You activate it simply through activating your reticular activation system. Now, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about the reticular activation system. It's a network of neurons located in the brainstem, and its job is to really just filter out unnecessary information so that only the things that are really important gets through, and it keeps all of those other unnecessary stuff out. Now, the important stuff obviously depends, of course, completely on what is important to you. So if you're going to believe, for example, that all men or all women are cheaters and they're bad and they're horrible, then you're going to, of course, only see and experience that as it directly correlates with your beliefs that you have about men and women, or men or women. Another way of how it works is this. So let's say you have a certain car in a specific color that you just really love and you just really want that. You're going to become more honed in on that car and the color, and and you're going to start to notice more of that on a daily basis. Right? So, oh my gosh, there's my car. If Ferrari drives past you and that's what you want, you're going to go, there's my car, because you can start seeing more red Ferraris. Most other cars will go largely unnoticed. Look, you'll be driving, you'll be careful, you'll see them, but you won't really, focus that hard on them and really go, well, that's the car I want to drive. So your reticular activation system is also the filter that allows you to tune out, the noise when you're in a talking crowd. But the moment someone says something specifically that draws your attention is completely drawn to it in a mere moment. Like someone calls your name. Hey, John. Oh, who called my name? Or something that you might believe in or like, oh, someone just mentioned the word crystals, or someone just mentioned the word rain, or whatever the case might be. It's a filter of what you're focusing on, right? And what it does is it just removes all the data, or it brings all the data that is only important to you, brings that forward. So this process happens incredibly fast, and you're not even really aware of it when it happens. So your reticular activation is literally always like seeking information that validates all of your beliefs and all of your experiences, right? And as you now know, beliefs are created by situations, by family stories, beliefs, and beliefs are all is an entire little mixture of chemicals in your brain and your body, and that's and your emotions, and that's how beliefs are created. So your reticular activation system will absolutely amplify all of your beliefs. So should you hold the belief that you aren't capable of speaking to the opposite sex, then, or the sex that you are interested in, then it will validate that for you constantly. And if you believe that a constant certain group of people are bad or mean, it will validate that for you also, right? This filters your entire world through these little special parameters that you have programmed into it. And those parameters are shaped by all of your beliefs and your experiences, as I said. In turn, this influences your actions and reactions, and that creates your reality. So, mind blown, right? Still believe that any failure that you've or any struggles that you've ever experienced with is totally out of your control? It's not. You have to start clearing out your beliefs and focus your reticular activation system on new beliefs, and your life just really changes for the better. This is where automatic manifestation of the things that you want happens. It influences your choices and your life in a very powerful manner. So, you know, those little sayings that people say, and I really am a stickler about these things, like, oh, I died laughing, right? Your reticular activation system is taking you up literally. Or if you say, oh, I'll give my left front teeth or have a house like that, you're going to be careful, because what you're doing is you're telling your brain, you're telling your reticular activation system what it is that you want. And the same goes with if you sit there and you go, oh, I don't want to go broke. Oh my gosh, what if this client doesn't pay me? Oh, what if this person doesn't give me my money? Oh, no, I'm way too broke at this point. So what you're doing is you're focusing your entire reticular activation system on the fact that you're broke. So it's going to constantly keep looking for, you being broke. And so the brain goes, oh, we got a direct message from the brain right now that's telling us we're broke. So we've got to create that. Oh, let's just go about and just say the most horrible things, do the most stupidest things. And that's going to, and there you send all your opportunity out the window, and you end up with being broke. And the same with relationships. If you are sitting there and you're going, I'm not built for relationships. I was never meant for relationships. Relationships aren't safe, you know, or you remember that, when you've been in this one relationship or a couple of relationships where things didn't go really well, what happens is you're dragging all of those beliefs and all of that clutter into your system, into your brain and into your body, and the brain just goes, well, you heard what she said, right? You literally heard what she said. We're not built for relationships. So anytime that you try and get into a relationship, you're going to absolutely sit there and you're going to bomb your relationships or the potential of a relationship, right? Because your reticular activation system is online and your brain is going, well, she said we're not made for relationships. So I'm going to constantly validate everything that she says to me, right? And one of the ways that we really get programmed without our knowledge is our music, our media, our TV shows. It's news. It's constantly, getting into the situations where you're watching news and it's all this detrimental stuff. I'm not saying hide your head in the sand. What I'm saying is be aware that when you're watching a TV show, right, when you are listening to music that says, I can never be loved, la, 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 all those wonderful things, what's going to happen, my dear, is you are going to end up there and you're going to hypnotize yourself, because you become so emotionally invested in that. You become so emotionally, your emotions go into high gear because you start painting pictures of not having that love, of not being able to be in that relationship, not having that sex life that you really want. And so it starts creating more of that conditioning inside of your brain that tells you that you can't have that, right? And this is why it's so important that you watch what you listen to, watch what you read, watch what you do, because you are sitting there and you're creating this entire space where you just constantly conditioning yourself for the things that you don't want, right? So as I was saying to you, your hormones and emotions are all influencing your reticular activation system, because those shows are playing on your beliefs, your emotions, your fears, right? Oh gosh, I hope that doesn't happen to me. So there's a bit of a process to actually get your brain to work for you instead of against you, right? So it's very important that you have to understand that your emotional states are so important. Secondly, you need to know what it is that you want in life. You've got to have clarity. You're focusing on the things that you don't want, and the things that you don't want you're going to get, because knowing what you want allows you to actually set your inner GPS. People are constantly focused on what they don't want, and to the brain it means you want it, because you're constantly focusing on that thing that you don't want. Hey, oh, can we hear it? Right? See that? I know this is already such a radical mind shift right there, isn't it? So you need to go into the space where you're clearing out those limitations, those limiting beliefs. And this is why it's important to go into a process where you're clearing out the limiting thought processes, where you start to learn how to use your brain, where you start to learn how to direct it. Because this is like sitting in a car and expecting the car to or the GPS, and you're expecting the GPS to go somewhere, but you didn't punch in the address of where you wanted to go. So you're just sitting there. You're just sitting there. And so, you know what? There's nothing happening. Now, to the brain, what happens is, well, she's just sitting there. Let's just throw all kinds of crap at her and hope something sticks. It doesn't work that way, does it? Because then you allow those beliefs that you are so attached to, that core identity of I'm a failure, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, all of those things to actually then create for you that life instead of the life that you actually want, the life that you're longing for, the life that you're desiring, you know. So some of the ways that I've really learned over the years that's really helped with the reticular activation system and to reprogram those beliefs are hypnosis, there's meditation, there's physiological somatic work, cognitive based somatic work, there's neurolinguistics programming, vestibular visual exercises, which is the movement of keeping your eye on an object and then moving your head up and down, right? There are eye movement integration methods that you can look at. There are spinal realignments, right? There are helping to work through something with a conversational hypnotherapist, for example, one that I am. There are ways of for example, working with new suggestion. But the thing here with new suggestion, for example, is that you can't just plaster affirmations over and over and over and over and over on top of something when you haven't cleared it out. It's like your computer, right? If you have a computer and you constantly you've got viruses running all over the show, and you're trying to install a new software, that software can't work, right? There's going to be this constant clash, and it's going to start breaking everything eventually. So this is why just doing affirmations don't always just cut it. You have to go through a process where you are creating safety within your own body and your nervous system to have what it is that you want and what you desire, okay? And pleasure is one of the ways to absolutely do that. And I'm not just saying just go and do a normal self-pleasure or masturbation process, because that's not what it's about. There is a conscious masturbation that's done. There's a way of using your sexual energy, for example, that helps you to go and clear out the limitations and creates more safety, right? This is why I work with sacred sexuality, for example. This is why I integrate somatic work, pleasure, hypnosis, meditation, all of those things, and conversational hypnosis, as well as neurolinguistics programming, because there's a certain way of applying those things in the right way that enables you to start peeling away the limitations, the fears, everything that you struck with, and those survival mechanisms that you've gone into, that helps you to start releasing them, so that you can then go into the process of where suggestion now actually does make a difference. It actually now helps, and it actually does now shift you into that space, so that you create this core identity and your brain starts accepting the new suggestions because there's safety in having that thing now, right? So these methods allows you to reset your beliefs quicker, instead of just letting these events that's still playing in your brain from the old days. It's just absolutely starts creating the space where you are now open to newness. Because here's the thing, the brain doesn't tell time. So in your own mind, you're still 4 or 2 or 3 years old, and even you still have memories from when you were growing in the womb, okay, and the experiences that you had while you were in utero. So all of these things creates all of these beliefs and these and everything just to protect you. It's a protection mechanism, right? So when you go and clear those things out, you're actually telling the brain, the body, the whole entire wholeness of what you are, the macrocosm, the microcosm of what you are, that you are safe to be and be and have what it is that you want to be, right? And to have. Okay. So anyway, so these experiences you had when you were when you were small actually happen to create a set of beliefs, and from there they are compounded over time. They keep being proven right. They keep being proven correctly because your reticular activation system has been hyper focused on those so-called truths. So as they are more compounded, what happens? The grooves in your brain gets deeper and it becomes more ingrained, and symptoms like your sexual issues, your relationship troubles, dating issues, fatigue, and various other symptoms, physiological symptoms, also become very much part of your life. And because your brain is now trying to protect you from something similar, from something harmful, that it might look similar as what you'd experienced previously. So it's just trying to protect you, because the brain works like a pattern matrix recognition system. And it means that every experience that you've experienced, right, that was created in a highly emotional state, creates the belief systems. And that information is all filed away in the brain and the body. And so the brain takes certain situations that remotely look similar, right? So, oh, that little pattern there looks remotely similar, which means this is going to be the outcome. And it goes and it recognizes that pattern. And then it creates all kinds of protection, or it activates your protection mechanisms to prevent you from experiencing this potentially life threatening situation, even if it's not actually life threatening. It's trying to prevent you from feeling rejection again. It's trying to prevent you from feeling sadness again. It's trying to prevent you from feeling all of the pain that you experienced up until the moment of now. So your entire primal brain goes online to protect you from a perceived threat, otherwise known as a belief, right? It's a very complex system, but it's very powerful. So I want to bring your attention to, for example, the law of attraction. The law of attraction is actually your own brain and body influencing your entire environment, because you're working through these filters, that is constantly creating your actions and reactions. It's really cool, right? So the law of attraction is not really all that woo-woo if you think about it. So your success directly correlates with you bringing yourself into a state of integration, of digesting your experiences, digesting your emotions, digesting everything that's ever happened, and alchemizing that into something different. It's about you learning and evolving your relationship and changing your stories and narratives. Because once you've done that, you start to automatically manifest the things that you fully and completely want and desire in your life. So so let's look at deserving and worthiness, for example. If you're feeling guilty and ashamed, not enough, not deserving, not worthy, what your brain is going to do, it's going to work against your success, because hey, you don't deserve to have that money, you don't deserve to have that wonderful sex life, you don't deserve to have that wonderful relationship, you don't deserve to have that sexy body, because it's something to be scary. So if you believe you're not enough, just take a guess, just take a gander. You're never going to have enough. You're going to constantly experience moments of where people tell you you're not enough. You're going to constantly experiencing scenarios that tells you that you're not good enough. And this is a really fascinating experience, isn't it? It's a fascinating way of understanding how our brains, our physiology can either help us succeed or either help us fail. So it's important that you start looking into these things. And look, I know that a lot of people have gone into mindset. But the thing is, like I said, you need to go into a process, into a container with someone that can understand what you're going through, that can understand, where can actually start recognizing when you are actually going into a state of self-protection. Okay. Because when you go into that state of self-protection, your brain is still not convinced that you are really safe to have and be and do and what it is that you desire. So, and I know that a lot of people have there's have really, when they go into a process like that, it's not a very, very deep process. They're being taught to do to only do, let's say, for example, vision boards, right? They're only taught to do just journaling. They're only taught to maybe just do um, you know thing affirmations, and these are the things that they're not clearing out what's underneath. They're not clearing out the deep layers underneath. They're not creating the safety, so to speak, because there's always this little part of you that's going, but I I don't, I can't do this. There's this conflict, this constant conflict. And that conflict makes it harder for you to break through that wall, because you've got this wall here of protection, right? And you have to take it down. And when you can take down that wall of protection, what you're doing is then those things start really working. Then those things start really flowing, right? Then you can easily, then you start listening to your intuition, and you get into the state where you're absolutely ready to flow. And there's a pigeon on the roof, where you're able to really flow into your empowerment. And that's what it's so important for you to really go into a deeper process, and to create that tremendous safety inside of yourself, to create that mindset about luck, to create that mindset about your own self-worth, self-love, your worthiness, your enoughness, your all of those things. Because as I say, your brain is still thinking that you're 2 years old. It's still thinking that you're still growing in mummy's womb. It's still, you're still all of those various ages. And so all of those experiences that you've had at those ages have compounded over the years to prove to you all of these things about yourself. And when you start breaking them down, you break down that wall, you can start flowing, you can start moving through, and you can start showing up, you know, with less fear. You can show up because rejection is no longer something to fear for you. You can show up because what other people think about you is no longer your business, and then you really mean it. You can show up in a way where you can set healthy boundaries, not boundaries from a space of fear or anxiety, but from a space of absolute compassion and love and softness and gentleness, and so on. So there's a huge difference here on when you're setting a boundary, because you all of a sudden just found your voice, over where you're grounded and you're so safe in your nervous system that you don't need to constantly fight with people, and you don't need to constantly prove a point. So I hope that this video has enlightened you a bit. So I'm Mareka, and I am your resident pleasure orgasmic queen. Not just that, I'm also a very proud metaphysician, and I love working with people's mindsets. This is my passion in life. This has been, all the experiences I've ever had in my life has led up to this, to me doing what I'm doing now. And in further videos, I will be sharing with you my life, because I had to overcome so much of my own stuff. Everything that I've talked to you about, I've been there, I've done that, I've experienced it myself. And I've gone through a lot of discovering myself. I've gone through a very deep process, and I'm still discovering a lot about myself. So I hope that you found this video really interesting. I look forward to hearing from you. Please leave your comments in the for me, and I will try my best to, well, I will do my best, not try, I will do my best to get back to you. I might make a video to answer your question. I may just respond directly onto your post. I might just make an entire live stream about it so that I can answer your question here. So thanks for watching. Have a wonderful evening, morning, day, or night. And I apologize if my sound is not great. Something's going on with my favorite microphone at this point. I'll get it sorted out. It's just some technical issues. So yeah. But thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are.